Joining us now is the senior senator from California, Alex Padilla. He's the ranking member of the Rules and Administration Committee and a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And I wanted to get, I know you'd want to comment on what's happened over the weekend with two of your Senate colleagues from Minnesota, Senator Smith, Senator Klobuchar, whose names were on an assassination list of someone who has now been arrested.
No, I appreciate you having me, Lawrence, and I'm still sort of processing what happened as I see that video over again. And yes, that followed by the tragedy in Minnesota. My heart goes out not just to my Senate colleagues, Senator Smith and Senator Klobuchar, but to the Hortman families and the Hoffman families for what they have endured. Sadly, it is a reminder of the tense and divisive political environment that we are living in. And there's a lot of reasons for it, but it cannot be ignored that President Trump has set a tone, not just in the last week, not just in the last couple of months, but dating back to the day he came down the escalator at Trump Tower to announce his first campaign for president. He is the commander-in-chief. He is the president of the United States. And if he chose to, there's a lot that he could do to turn down the temperature, to de-escalate the tensions that are there in Los Angeles and clearly in so many communities around the country.
Senator, I have to say, seeing a United States senator thrown to the floor like that and handcuffed, it is certainly, you don't have to be a former Senate staffer to be pained by the sight of that, but those of us who work there do have, I think, extra feelings about that sight. What is it like for you? It's been a few days now. You just saw it again. I'm sorry we had to show it to you, but this is the news that we're discussing. What is it like for you to see that video and have that experience go through it again that way?
Yeah, no, look, I don't mind seeing it. I'm glad there is video because can you imagine if that would have happened and I would have come out of that building, my word against Secretary Noem, and the propaganda machine that is the Trump administration. So thankfully there is that video, not just for me to watch, not just for better and for worse, my wife and kids to watch, but for the world to watch. Because as you mentioned earlier, and I keep repeating over and over again, if this is how the administration handles a senator with a question, you can only imagine not just what they're capable of, but what must be happening in all corners of the country where cameras are not on, where they are detaining so many nonviolent criminals, hard-working women and men, with the audacity of them maybe asking a question or trying to speak up for themselves or their rights. There's a reason that there's so much fear and terror in communities around the country, and that's sadly what the Trump administration wants. If some good comes out of this, whether it's increased awareness as to what's going on, then maybe that can be a good thing. If there's people who have been aware of the increasingly extreme and cruel actions by the Trump administration, then maybe that's a good thing. And heaven forbid, maybe the hearts and minds of some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle can be moved enough for a change in policy or even the modernization of our immigration laws. That would be a good thing. But Lawrence, it's not just because of what happened to me that you hear the passion in my voice. It's because this is personal, as you know. Mm-hmm. My parents are immigrants to this country. My dad, for more than 40 years, worked as a short-order cook. My mom cleaned houses. They worked hard, and they sacrificed so much so that we could live the American dream. And so if all the Trump administration was doing was targeting violent, dangerous criminals, there would be no debate. There would be no discussion. But as data now reveals, more than 90% of those that have been detained and of those deported, more than 90% do not have criminal convictions. They're going after the very same workforce that they deemed essential at the end of the first Trump term at the outset of the pandemic.
Senator, I know you, after the fact, I'm not sure exactly how this worked. You had a meeting with Kristi Noem before leaving the building. How long after that event did that happen? How was that arranged? What happened in that discussion? How long did it last? What can you tell us about that?
So you provided a lot of great context earlier, Lawrence, about the security of the space we were in a federal building, where I was met at the entrance by a National Guardsman and an FBI agent. And they put me through security screening, more than proper, more than appropriate. They escorted me to a conference room where I had a scheduled briefing with representatives of Northern Command, because to deploy federal forces, Marines and federalized National Guards women and men to the streets of Los Angeles over the objections of the governor, the mayor, the sheriff, and the local police chief. I needed to know why. What was their mission? And what kind of training did these folks have to be able to execute that mission and probably interact with civilians? That briefing was postponed because some of the folks that were going to be at that briefing were in this press conference. And so I asked to go listen in, because maybe, just maybe, I'd get information there that I haven't gotten in committee hearings, that we haven't gotten in responses to letters that we've submitted, formal inquiries of the Department of Homeland Security. Maybe, just maybe, I'd get some information. The same escorts, the National Guardsman and the FBI agent, are the ones that brought me into the press conference, opened the door for me, were standing by me for the several minutes that we were there listening to the nonsense. And what really compelled me to speak up, Lawrence, was not the first time, but the second time the secretary said that their job, the reason they were there, was to liberate the people of Los Angeles from the governor and the mayor. Imagine that. Is that the job of the Marine Corps? To liberate American citizens from their duly elected representatives, their mayor and their governor? Of course not. And so I had the audacity to try to ask a question, and within a split second there was hands on me, and you've seen the rest. You've seen the video. And so even after it happened, and again, you've seen the video, when the cuffs finally came off, they asked me, would you like an audience with the secretary, if you're indeed genuine about meeting with the secretary? They were surprised I said yes after the treatment I received. But that's why I was there, to get information. They even said, and the other briefing with Northern Command, are you still interested in that? Of course. Despite how I've been treated, I'm trying to do my job as a senator to provide oversight and accountability of the administration. Surprise, surprise, it wasn't a very substantive conversation with the secretary, tried as I might, and I came away with just a promise to, we'll get you the information you're asking for.
And did she apologize?
You think that would be a good place to start, but no apology. Not taking it personal. No even acknowledgement. But again, I'm not taking that personal. I'm just trying to do my job.
Senator, I want to get your reaction to some breaking news we're getting right now from the Washington Post. This is a Trump reversal of a Trump reversal. I had reported that Donald Trump had decided to stop the raids in agricultural centers and other places where people are working. And the Washington Post is reporting tonight that officials from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, including its Homeland Security Investigations Division, told agency leaders in a call Monday that agents must continue conducting immigration raids at agricultural businesses, hotels, and restaurants. So this is a Trump reversal of a Trump reversal.
Yeah, a Trump reversal of a Trump. Is it chaos? Is it incompetence? Is it a combination of both? Look, what happened at the press conference was on a Thursday. I caught wind of an announcement on Friday that Donald Trump had reversed himself and said, let's take our foot off the gas on enforcement in restaurants and hotels and agricultural fields. And I thought, well, maybe this is a baby step in the right direction. And before today's reversal of the reversal that you just mentioned, there was also his statement overnight about, no, we're going to double down on enforcement in blue cities, right? So they're saying the quiet part out loud. It is an overt partisan attack that he's doing. Immigrants, sadly, hardworking immigrants are pawns in his march towards authoritarianism. And so it makes you wonder, Lawrence, who's really in charge here? Is it Donald Trump or is it Stephen Miller?
It's sounding more and more like Stephen Miller. California Senator Alex Padilla, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Lawrence.
Thank you.